Chapter 10. The Canal Remains Unfinished, Part 6. Xiaojia's actions were incredibly bold. Hou Weidong never expected her to do something like this under such circumstances. His whole body stiffened, and he whispered, "Xiaojia." Back on the small hills of Shazhou College, Hou had tried several times to coax Xiaojia into this, but she was always too shy, dodging away at the last moment. Here and now, Hou felt a surge of heat rushing to his head. Gazing at Xiaojia's slender, pale neck, feeling her warmth, he swore silently to himself, "If I ever betray Xiaojia, may I be struck by lightning, doomed for eternity." Chen Qingrong, seeing the two had been in the small room for a long time, walked to the door and said, "Xiaojia, hurry up. It'll be too late to catch the bus back to Yang." Hearing Chen Qingrong's voice, Hou panicked. "Xiaojia, no, they're right outside. Get up." Even as he said it, he was powerless to resist Xiaojia's wildfire-like passion. He leaned his back against the door, then turned and gently pushed the bolt into place. Chen Qingrong, hearing no sound from the inner room, said, "Xiaojia, faster." Her tone was now stricter. With a shudder, Hou Weidong gripped Xiaojia's shoulders tightly, pressing her close against him. All his wildness and essence surged forth. Xiaojia raised her head, her mouth full. She spotted a roll of tissue by the bed, tore off a piece, spat the contents into it, and wrapped it up. She looked around for a moment, but couldn't find a place to discard it. Finally, she stuffed the tissue packet into Hou Weidong's pants pocket. Once Xiaojia had composed herself, Hou said firmly, "Xiaojia, we can't give up. Wait for me. I will find a way to come to Shazhou." Filled with confidence in him, Xiaojia nodded fiercely. "It's not convenient to get mail here. Keep sending letters to the old address. Remember, you must write to me every 2 days. No slacking." They walked out of the room. Hou Weidong no longer felt sorrow. He even wore a slight smile. He said to Chen Qingrong standing outside the door, "Auntie, I'm leaving." Chen Qingrong said, "Zhang Yuanjing, see Yao Hou to the station." Hou replied, "The noon sun is too harsh. Uncle Zhang doesn't need to come out." During their over 3 years of underground work at the college, Hou Weidong and Xiaojia had mastered the art of concealment. They acted as if nothing had happened, and Chen Qingrong didn't detect a trace of their recent passion. Hou turned to Zhang Yuanjing. "Uncle, I'm leaving. Sorry for the trouble." Zhang Yuanzhang stood in the middle of the living room. Seeing Hou Weidong looked normal, he gave a non-committal in reply. The sun was like a woman with constantly shifting moods. As Hou stepped out of Xiaojia's home, a wave of intense sunlight plunged from the clouds, seemingly melting the earth. Sweat soaked Hou's front and back as if he'd just been fished out of water. Reaching a corner, he found a few large trees with lush foliage casting deep shade. Several old women sat under them, fanning themselves and chatting idly. A small grocery store stood by the road. Hou slowed his pace, entered the store, and bought a bottle of frozen mineral water. Buying the water earned him the right to sit on a long bench in the store. Hou sat down, glancing back towards Xiaojia's residence. The apartment buildings all looked identical. He couldn't pick out which one was hers. A sip of cold water brought a wave of cool relief. He sat expressionless in the grocery store for a while. The old women were sneaking glances at him. This was the factory residential compound. These women knew every family and everyone in them. This young man was a complete stranger, with a close-cropped haircut and a tightly drawn, almost grim face. Having lived in the compound for decades, they possessed a high degree of revolutionary vigilance. Exchanging glances, they began watching Hou Weidong closely. Hou's thoughts were entirely on Xiaojia. He didn't notice the old women had already marked him as a key person of interest. After sitting for a while, drinking a few sips of the icy water, and searching futilely for Xiaojia's window, he stood up and walked out of the residential area. After a few steps, he spotted a dilapidated trash bin. He took out the tissue Xiaojia had placed in his pocket, damp, containing her saliva and his essence. The tissue missed the bin, flipping over the rim like a gymnast and fluttering to the ground. The old women, who had been watching him, waited until he was far away. Then one, burning with curiosity, went over to the trash bin, found a small stick, and used it to poke and examine the tissue. The young man must have asthma. It's full of phlegm. Seems he's not a thief. He looks strong. How could he have asthma? Looked like he came from Building 5. Wonder which family he was visiting. Heard from Xiaojia's mom yesterday that Xiaojia was coming back today. Wonder if this young man came with her. With their familiarity with the compound and their relentless nosiness, the old women were gradually closing in on the truth. This was precisely why every neighborhood committee had a group of such elderly women. By the time Hou Weidong reached the bus station, the bus from Shizhou to Yiyang had just left. The next one wasn't until 4:30. Hou only had a digital watch, but its battery was dead. He wandered around the station until he finally found a grimy clock hanging in an inconspicuous spot. It was 1:30 p.m., a full 3 hours until departure. The July sun in Shizhou was merciless. The streets were empty, almost devoid of pedestrians. Shops along the street had their electric fans whirring vigorously. Sitting in the waiting room, Hou felt exceptionally irritable. He reminisced about his time at college and thought about his return to Yang, unsure which township he would be assigned to. Although he had spoken confidently to Chen Xingrong, he had no concrete plan for how to proceed. Listen more, observe more, speak less. Be quick with your hands and legs. This was the 12-character mantra his father, Hou Weidong, had given him. His father, Hou Weidong, was from the countryside in Wuhai. He joined the army at 17 and, guided by this mantra, was promoted to officer by 20, becoming a young platoon leader. He was sent to the Nanjing Artillery School for a crash course. After graduation, he followed his unit into Korea, though the war had ended by the time they arrived. After some time in Korea, he returned with his unit to China, stationed in the Guangzhou military region. By then, Hou Weidong had become a company commander. In the early 1960s, the three Hou brothers were famously known in their hometown as the Three Hou Heroes. The eldest, Hou Weidong, was an accountant at the Wuhai distillery, a state-owned enterprise. For a rural youth to enter a state-owned enterprise and have guaranteed food rations was a remarkable achievement, especially as an accountant. The second brother, Hou Weidong, had attended a traditional private school and later a modern school after liberation. After graduating junior high, he became a secretary at the Wuhai County Party Committee. With his foundation from private school, his handwriting was excellent, and he could draft documents quickly, earning him the favor of the county party secretary at the time. The third brother, Hou Weidong, Hou Weidong's father, joined the army and became a company commander in his early 20s, his future seemingly limitless. But weather is unpredictable, and fortune is fickle. An unexpected event disrupted the progress of the three Hou heroes. In the mid-1960s, disaster suddenly struck the eldest, Hou Weidong. He was accused by his own female apprentice of writing counter-revolutionary slogans on a table with his finger dipped in water after drinking. At that time, writing counter-revolutionary slogans was a serious crime. Hou Weidong was immediately arrested. While the slogans themselves were impossible to verify, the power of the people's dictatorship was immense. He was quickly sentenced to 20 years for counter-revolutionary crimes. The second brother, Hou Yonghua, had been a yearly activist in studying Mao Zedong.